From the Derby city of Louisville, this is more than just a horse racing town. Another, albeit shorter, tradition returns to Louisville for the third straight year, the basketball tournament, where the Louisville alumni team, the Ville, takes the floor in front of home crowd fans again. The $1 million dream is alive for two teams. Only one will keep it that way when the afternoon is done. The Ville takes on Boston versus Cancer in the first of 4 first-round games from Louisville today. Just down the road in Lexington, another great basketball town, La Familia, the Kentucky alumni team, won yesterday to move on to the second round. Kentucky and Louisville could potentially meet in the quarterfinal, but a long way to go before we get there. Until then, we say hello courtside from historic Freedom Hall alongside Robbie Hummel. I'm Chris Fosters. We have Jen Hale with us as well. Knowing full well that I'm talking to a guy from Indiana, there's a lot of basketball tradition in Kentucky as well.
Well, and that's the cool thing about TBT is as good as the Yum Center is, you get to be back in a building as cool and nostalgic as Freedom Hall. All these players so psyched up to play here. It's what makes TBT great. We saw it last night at the University of Kentucky. Today we see it at Louisville.
Cardinals fans are going to recognize just about everybody on the Ville roster, but tell me about one guy you're looking at.
Well, I'm really looking at Russ Smith. Averaged 24 a game, led the second division of Italy last season in scoring. But Montrezl Harrell, Earl Clark, David Johnson, plenty of teams that Louisville fans are well familiar with, are big fans of. I'm really looking forward to seeing just how the Ville comes out. Luke Hancock will have a problem in that he has so much talent on this team. How do you give minutes to 12 guys that are all great players?
Well, it might be easy for fans to overlook the 8-seed Boston versus Cancer, but there are a lot of guys on this roster who just played college basketball.
Yeah, that's the thing that really sticks out at you, Chris. Bensley Joseph last year played at Providence. Mason Madsen last season played at Utah. Jaden Zachary last year played at Clemson. So you have some high major starters that are on this Boston versus Cancer team, a team that's playing for a great cause and certainly will try to be upset-minded today.
Well, as the name implies, Boston versus Cancer playing for more than just basketball and the $1 million prize. And for a little bit more about an especially remarkable player on the Boston versus Cancer roster, let's go to Jen.
Guys, they are playing for so much more than just basketball. It is the most inspiring story of TBT this summer. Michael Rodriguez, the point guard for Boston versus Cancer, actively battling stage 4 colon cancer right now. It's unbelievable he's out here, and he's not just here to support, he's here to play. He had his 9th chemo treatment in his protocol just last week. This is his first day of activity since I spoke with him pregame, and he said, look, last night was rough. I was up most of the night, a ton of aches and pains, but when I finally did rest and woke up this morning and knew I got to take the court on national television, I felt all better. Basketball is the reason he keeps going. It's such a wonderful reminder of how precious life is, and again, how much bigger than basketball it all truly can be.
Amazing doesn't really begin to describe it. Great to see Mike Rodriguez suiting up for Boston versus Cancer. And what an atmosphere here inside Freedom Hall, where they are about to introduce the Ville, the Louisville alumni team. We'll introduce our starting lineups when we come back. Moments away from tip-off in this round 1 TBT showdown between the Louisville alumni team, the Ville, and Boston versus Cancer, whose mission is bigger than basketball. Now it's time for basketball, however, and in a short while, one of these teams will move on to the second round of this tournament and keep its $1 million dream alive. A lot of recent college players on the Boston versus Cancer roster. Mason Madsen, Bensley Joseph, Jaden Zachary, Sid Wilson, Usman Drame, the starting five. For the Ville, Chris Jones, David Johnson, Jay Scrubb, Montrezl Harrell, former NBA Sixth Man of the Year, and Earl Clark, the starting five. And my ears are still ringing a little bit, Robbie, from player introduction.
Well, no question it was incredibly loud here, but the thing that Luke Hancock has got to be a little bit concerned about, this is a different type of game than what we saw for the Kentucky team last night, La Familia, where they honestly played a team of influencers, a college football player, some 3-on-3 players. This Boston versus Cancer team has a couple pros, has a couple guys that just came out of college basketball. The Ville is going to have to be hooked up early on, and we'll see early start time. That can always be a factor in games like this.
This is the third straight year the Ville has been in TBT, and they've hosted a regional here at Freedom Hall all 3 years. The largest crowd in TBT history came out to the quarterfinal last year inside Freedom Hall to watch the Ville take on the Kentucky Alumni team. The Kentucky Alumni team won the game and moved on. We could have a rematch of those two historic programs later this TBT.
If that happens, this building will be on fire for that game.
Montrezl Harrell wins the opening tip, and the Ville starts with the ball. Chris Jones at the point. Russ Smith and Peyton Siva are also on the Ville roster. Key cogs in the 2013 National Championship campaign. First shot by Earl Clark is off the mark. Jones with the steal, but couldn't lay it in.
Quite the play by Chris Jones. Everything but the layup, but you love the hustle early on.
Jaden Zachary swirls one in.
He had a really good season at Clemson. Played the NCAA tournament, averaged 11 points a game, and off that missed layup, Boston versus Cancer gets a run out. That leads to that open shot.
5 guys on this Boston versus Cancer roster were on college basketball rosters last season. And there's another turnover for the Ville. This is Bensley Joseph, who played at Providence last year. He feeds Drame, and the big fella misses a 3.
Drame, one of the seasoned vets on this squad. 10-year pro veteran. Played last year in Poland, averaged 11 a game. He's certainly going to anchor this defense and the interior for Boston versus Cancer.
Montrezl Harrell off the back iron, and the rebound controlled by David Johnson.
I have to think the offensive glass is going to loom large. With Earl Clark and Montrezl Harrell out there, Boston versus Cancer is going to have to really fight for the defensive glass.
Johnson just couldn't beg that one down, but he goes to the foul line at least. Mason Madsen picks up the foul.
Second chance opportunity leads to this David Johnson drive. You see Madsen just holding his arm. It's always intriguing early on to see just how these teams gel. Even though the Ville has multiple years of experience in playing together, it's the first time in a year. So you're trying to work out some things offensively. What are we running? Defensively, what's our pick and roll defense? It's certainly an adjustment even for a team that's played together over the last couple summers.
The Ville is on the board, still looking for its first field goal, however. Sid Wilson with the miss, and the rebound to Earl Clark.
Amazing that Earl Clark is still going professionally. Played this last year in Taiwan. You think about his NBA career, he's played all over the place overseas. He's one of those guys that's a seasoned pro.
37 years old and still running the floor with some young bucks. Another turnover, however, for the Ville.
There's not many guys in this thing that are older than me that are still playing, and he's one of them. It's impressive.
You've played in this tournament as well. What's unique about it?
Well, just the format. Certainly the Elam ending gives you a different feel for the end. Honestly, what I loved playing was that it gives you some of the juices that flow of playing with your college team again. It's the Louisville game to play at home, playing in front of your fans. It's different. You go overseas, even if you're making a good amount of money, you're probably playing in some small gyms. It's just a different animal than playing over here.
Cool hand Luke stepping into the head coaching role for the Ville. He's been very involved with the Ville all 3 years, but was on the roster in 2023 when the Ville made its TBT debut. Now transitioning to the bench full time.
Well, he does it all. He does TV. He's the most outstanding player of the Final Four. He's now the coach. I mean, Luke Hancock, he can wear a number of hats.
Cool hand Luke. Still on billboard advertisements around the Louisville metro area. This is David Johnson on the feed from Harrell. A little bit off, and Joseph with the rebound. Joseph pulls up, air ball. Drame, air ball.
The thing about the Ville is that even if you can handle the starters, you still have guys like Chris Dow, Russ Smith, Peyton Sieba coming off the bench. I mean, the depth of this team really is a strength.
Montrezl Harrell bringing some attitude already here early in the first quarter, drawing the foul, going to the line.
Yeah, from watching Montrezl Harrell, whether it's in college or in the NBA, he's not going to be afraid to let you know about it. Only 5 years removed from being the NBA's sixth man of the year. Plays with a motor, had a big year in Australia, averaging 20 a game. He's going to be one of the best players in this event.
Second team all-league over in Australia for Adelaide. Hits the free throw after the foul on Sid Wilson of Boston versus Cancer. So quite a resume. Harrell, an NCAA champion as a freshman with Louisville, became a first-team All-AAC player the following year, a second-round pick, and then an NBA Sixth Man of the Year award as part of an 8-year NBA career.
He was fourth in scoring in Australia this last year and second in rebounding. So the way he filled a box score, pretty impressive stuff.
There's a foul underneath, and they tap David Johnson with the personal, his first and the team's first.
Honestly, Chris, you know what we haven't talked about with the Ville yet is Malik Williams.
Yeah.
Recent grad of the University of Louisville, now 3-year pro, but he had a huge year in the G League. Certainly is going to be a factor off the bench as well.
Mason Madsen open off the screen, in and out.
Got to find him, and that's what he's out there to do. His brother Gabe has had a monster summer league for the Golden State Warriors this summer.
Chris Jones nearly threw it through the hands of Johnson. This is the big man, Earl Clark. Drame the rebound. And he nearly threw it away. Sorry, Rob.
Maybe some of this offensive stuff is us. We had some games in Lexington yesterday that were slogs, but there you go, Madsen. He'll get you going from three.
Wrapped up his college career last season at Utah with his twin brother. Here's Harrell, who kicks it back out. Johnson finally knocks one in.
Well, smart play there by Montrezl Harrell. If Boston versus Cancer is going to sell out on him, 3 men on him inside, he's going to spray it out. David Johnson's locked and loaded.
Drame 0 for 2 from deep. Jones open for 3. Drame another rebound.
A good look. Boston versus Cancer not matching up. Fortunate there.
Madsen blocked. This is Montrezl Harrell's house, and he's letting Mason Madsen know.
Madsen, that idea was good in theory. Maybe not so much in principle as you drive this thing to the lane, and it's multiple of the Ville defenders coming over to erase this shot.
Double block. David Johnson that got in there first. Jay Scrubb has checked into the game, along with Michael Rodriguez for Boston versus Cancer. We heard Jen talk about Rodriguez's story before the game, diagnosed with colon cancer in January of this year. Chris Jones keeps the ball alive for the Ville. Harrell spots one up, puts it in.
How about Chris Jones, the smallest guy on the floor for the Ville, stealing a possession right there with that offensive rebound and spraying it out to Harrell.
Jaden Zachary lost the handle. Earl Clark up with it. Scrubb open for 3. No. Saved by Jones again, but to the guys in brown. Zachary finds Rodriguez to Madsen. Quick release and a bucket.
That was pretty good, actually, by Jay Scrubb. He took the ball and then the first pass, but with that quick first release, got Mason Madsen right there just spraying one from 3.
Scrubb's got it again. He is from Louisville. Originally committed to the college program here, but went pro instead. Knocks down the jumper.
What a story he is. A player that ended up playing at John A. Logan Junior College and still got drafted. Just how talented he is.
close game midway through the first. 4 9-minute quarters. These games fly by. Octavio Brito off the bench and into the box score.
Octavio Brito, a name that college basketball fans probably haven't heard of, but he is your D3 National Player of the Year. And you're a little bit late on the closeout. He makes you pay for it, top of the key.
Boston versus Cancer by 2. Mason Madsen tried to make it 5. The Ville ball when we come back. And the Ville's going to need more buckets like this.
A little bit of a slow start offensively, but off the second chance, Montrezl Harrell stepping in. He shot at a 32% clip from 3. He let you know about it as well. The Ville trying to get going here early on.
TBT, the basketball tournament, is powered by Puma and by Or Health. Or Health, a daily pill to drink less or quit. And Purple. Purple, less pain, better sleep. Even if it's not your first time catching a TBT game, always good to have a reminder, a refresher of some of the particulars of basketball the TBT way. $1 million winner-take-all prize. 12th year the tournament has been going on, going back to 2014 now. Every game finishes with an Elam ending, so every game finishes with a made bucket. You play to a target score as opposed to playing until the end of the game clock. So Carmen's crew, the Ohio State alumni team, the defending champs, there is an impressive pedigree of college alumni teams doing very well at this tournament, and the Louisville alumni team trying to become the latest of those. This is David Johnson from the elbow.
Mason creates right there. That little spin move, and then he just gets away from Brito. Big time move from David Johnson, and here's the wave of national champions with Russ Smith and Shane Bohannon coming in the game.
Mason Madsen with 6 points for Boston versus Cancer. He's not called. He finds Brito on a cut, and he lays it in.
They take advantage of the no call. Great cut by Brito. Mason Madsen, though, has really brought a mentality out here. Hasn't been scared, has knocked down a couple threes, and a big-time pass right there.
David Sloan has checked into the game for the Ville. Number 2 did not play at Louisville, but is another native of the Derby City. From the corner, Harrell for 3, short. Rebound, Johnson. He's got 8.
That's going to be the challenge for Boston versus Cancer. And outside of Montrezl Harrell, just these big Louisville guards, you're going to have to block them out.
Oh, Mason Madsen's got a green light. He missed there. Harrell.
Off of defensive board. You're looking for a run out. The Ville with their heads up. That's a terrific pass. David Sloan finding Harrell. Easy basket maybe jumpstarts this offense.
Harrell tore his ACL last year, did not play at all during the 23-24 season anywhere. So has gotten back to competitive ball again. As Robbie mentioned, had a great season in Australia. This is Brito off the mark. Zachary the long rebound for Boston versus Cancer.
Let's see if Boston versus Cancer keeps trying to put the undersized Brito, putting him in actions to get Montrezl Harrell in space, making him move around, having to guard pick and pop. The defense leading the offense for the Ville. Good active hands by David Sloan. Eyes up the floor, throw it up to Montrezl Harrell and let him do the rest.
He can still get up. This is Harrell's first season playing in TBT. He was a spectator here in 2023 when TBT played in Freedom Hall for the first time. Here's Russ Smith. And he's had some Rusticulous moments on TBT hardwood specifically. He finds Harrell, his former teammate, and Harrell dribbles it off his knee. Bensley Joseph for Whitney Sidney, too high for Tyler Whitney Sidney. Russ Smith for Harrell. He's going to the foul line.
What a missed opportunity there. Boston versus Cancer, trying to get a little bit flashy, but then you've got Russ Smith coming right back at you. He can throw the lob, but he read the defense perfectly. Instead, you drop it off to Montrezl Harrell. They had to foul him in order to not give up that bucket.
Harrell got poked in the eye. And needs some assistance before he takes his free throws.
Look at the way that Brito is just taking away the lob. Now he's late, and he just gets Montrezl Harrell across the face and then across the arm.
Sweat out of his eye, and now back at the free throw line. Harrell 1 for 2 so far. Seven points for the 31-year-old. Harrell, remember, almost came to Louisville by accident. He was originally a Virginia Tech commit for our former colleague Seth Greenberg, but came to Louisville late in the process and had a fabulous career for Rick Pitino and the Cardinals. Sid Wilson, a little bit off the mark. Drame with the offensive rebound, but he threw it behind the backboard.
It's a great rebound, a terrific effort, because you've got 3 Ville defenders right there, but that's when we're Drame is. You've got to take your time, gather yourself, and get back on balance. Just kind of flip it up there, and that was a prayer.
Anthony Leonelli is the head coach of Boston versus Cancer. Head coach at Fisher College. That's an NAIA school in Boston. Just about everybody on this roster has ties to Boston, either went to a Boston institution or grew up in Massachusetts. Bensley Joseph was born in Massachusetts. He draws the foul.
Well, Bensley Joseph has a winning pedigree. Played in the Final Four for Jim Larinaga at the University of Miami. Transferred his last year to Providence and led Providence in scoring. Think about the Bryce Hopkins injury and how much that set that team back. Bensley Joseph honestly had a nice year. 39% from 3, 13 a game, a career high. Also 3 assists, so he's going to be a factor out here today.
His first point in TBT comes at the foul line. Foul on David Sloan, by the way, his second. So Sloan to the Ville bench, and Chris Jones checks back in, the Cardinal from 2013 to 15. Quinn Slazinski is also on the floor for the Ville. He played 2 seasons for Louisville as well, from 2019 to 2021. Here's Russ Smith, guarded by Tyler Whitney Sidney. Rebound tip to Chris Dow. For Slazinski, 1 step to his left. And the rebound nearly controlled by Shane Bohannon. And it stays with the Ville, 2.6 seconds to go in the quarter.
Those big bodies for the Ville just paying dividends out here. It's not just the bigs, it's the big guards as well. And Bohannon, man, he has got a body on him, even at age 33.
Slazinski, as the quarter clock expires. Tried the other side and got it to drop, and the Ville takes a 4-point lead into the second quarter. Well, don't let the 1-8 matchup fool you. This is a really scrappy 8 seed, Boston versus Cancer. The Ville has been up to the challenge so far, but we have a good game underway as regional play has begun again in Louisville for TBT.
What? I thought I heard him say that. I was like,
TBT today, baseball night in America tonight on Fox. Red Sox take on rising star Pete Crow Armstrong and the Cubs. The Cardinals also battle the Diamondbacks, so check your local listings, as they say, for the game in your area tonight at 7 Eastern on Fox. There's a new tweak to the TBT format this year, and it has to do with home court advantage. There was an incentive put out that the first team to sell 4,000 tickets would have the potential to host all the way to the championship game. And so the Ville and their outstanding fans backing Louisville basketball was the first TBT program to sell 4,000 tickets this year, so the Ville could play on its home court inside Freedom Hall all the way to the TBT championship. They just got to keep winning. Boston versus Cancer ball to start the second quarter, and Usman Drame has had an impact on this game. 2 points and now 5 rebounds. And Jen, you took a listen into Boston versus Cancer's huddle during the break between the first and second quarter.
Indeed, Chris, and they've noticed this Louisville crowd as well. That was Anthony Leonelli's subject matter to his team. He said, look, this crowd is here for a show, but we're here for a fight. He wants his team to get in there more physical on the glass, rebound harder, and then he thinks they can have an advantage running the ball. He challenges his team. He doesn't think Louisville wants to keep up with them in terms of pace, so that's where he thinks they could have an advantage this quarter.
Right on cue with what Jen just talked about. It's going to be the defensive glass. Can you keep these bigger Louisville players off the offensive board? So far it's been an issue, but you have to love the fight that Boston versus Cancer is showing because they've hung in there.
It's a fight on and off the court for Boston versus Cancer. Quinn Slazinski picks up the hot potato and finds Chris Jones, the starting point guard for the Ville today. Wraparound pass, Bohannon. Working on Drame. What a shot.
That's a tough shot right there. Drame guarded it well, but now Boston versus Cancer has numbers. Honestly, a great foul right there. Slazinski taking away that fast break opportunity, and those are those strategic fouls you can use. I mean, it looked like Bohannon could have shot the original one, but then he goes to the step back and just drills a 15-foot fadeaway.
You've commented on the physical conditioning for some of the veteran players on both rosters, and you know, you can't take that for granted. I mean, there's a lot of work that goes into it as you get older.
Look at us. Look at how we've fallen apart. The thing is with Shane Bohannon, you know, he's played some pro basketball in the TBL, but hasn't played real pro basketball since 2020 down in Puerto Rico. So to kind of see the way that he's kept himself in shape, that's not easy to do.
Chris Jones with the last bucket for the Ville. And now wrapping up Bensley Joseph. And he forces the turnover.
That's just that pesky pressure of getting into the basketball. Well done by Chris Jones of making Bensley Joseph uncomfortable.
Chris Jones getting things done on either end of the floor for the Ville. 6 turnovers for Boston versus Cancer now. It's a little over 2 minutes into the second quarter. Here's Russ Smith. Too strong. Drame, another rebound. Boston versus Cancer scored 4 quick ones to start the quarter, but the Ville is now back up 6. Brito. High bounce off the rim. Jones stumbles. Finds Earl Clark.
Chris Jones has played really hard so far in this game.
Russ Smith for Clark. What's it like starting Earl Clark, Robbie?
Well, I can speak to it. My freshman year at Purdue, what I remember from the game is looking at Earl Clark and Terrence Williams and thinking, what weight program are they on? And why am I not on it? Because I'm 6'8", 190, and those guys looked like NBA players then. But you're at the mercy of his size and skill, and I love what the Ville did right there. Pick and pop him, and if you've got the shot, take it. If you've got the drive, you take that. When you've got options, he drove Drame right there and made a great decision.
Jaden Zachary the foul, and it looks like Earl Clark, maybe he's on the same program he was back 15 years ago.
I never got the secret sauce because I certainly never looked like Earl Clark does.
Was that really your first welcome to college basketball?
Yes,
moment?
because it was our biggest game. Louisville had a ranked team. You know, you're talking about playing Edgar Sosa and Jerry Smith and some of the names that Louisville had. You know, they had a lot of guys out that game. David Padgett, Juan Palacios, Derek Carricker was suspended, but they still had plenty of talent.
On the flow by, that's Jay Scrubb. He's got 4.
It just looks so easy there for that smooth lefty. Jay Scrubb in transition, getting to his left hand.
Zachary, 3-ball.
Yes, it's quite the answer. Boston versus Cancer needed it. The Ville has gone on quite the run, and Jaden Zachary with the answer.
He's got 2 triples, and Boston versus Cancer calls a timeout down 7. That snapped an 8-0 run for the Ville.
said and one.
Did you bring your clubs?
That fade in the corner.
Tomorrow will be a challenge.
The Ville leads Boston versus Cancer in the 1-8 matchup. Round 1 coverage of the basketball tournament from inside Freedom Hall. The first of 4 games today from inside this historic venue, the historic home of Louisville basketball. Before they moved to the KFC Yum Center, Bellarmine University at one point took over this gymnasium for its basketball home court. But still so much going on, not only inside Freedom Hall, but the Kentucky Fairgrounds, the Exposition Center. This is a happening place. Jay Scrubb back to work on a drive, and Drame controls another rebound.
Didn't get it, but I love the set out of the timeout. Just a clear out from that elbow and let Scrubb get to his strong hand.
Sid Wilson fouled as he rose to the rack. Chris Jones with his first personal.
Boston versus Cancer is undersized, but they're certainly not afraid. You're going to the rim, and you certainly take a punishment there as you get there.
So Wilson, who played one season of college basketball at UConn, that was the 2018-19 season, and then transferred into Southern Illinois Edwardsville after COVID.
He averaged double figures in the second division of Greece this last year. Had some big playoff games. Our team was eliminated, but he averaged 21 and 6 in 2 playoff games. Jay Scrubb with the alley-oop. That can't happen for Boston versus Cancer off a missed free throw. Just not getting back, and Russ Smith taking advantage.
Drame and Earl Clark get intertwined.
I think Earl Clark is saying, man, Drame held me.
The foul is on Earl Clark. His first.
That was an errant pass. Clark was going to make a play on it. That should have been an offensive foul.
Here's Drame, who's got 7 rebounds today. Mason Madsen with a couple of triples. Gave Chris Jones the Michael Jordan treatment.
I think Brian Russell got that same move right there.
Scrubb out of Trinity High School here in Louisville. Madsen, a 2-on-1, takes the 3.
All right, we saw like 5 of those last night.
No one's hit it.
No one makes them. Go get a layup.
Russ Smith, corner pocket.
He can score that ball. Led the Italian second division in scoring last year. No surprise to see him get it going.
He has had a decorated overseas career, not just in Italy, but in China as well. Largest lead of the day for the Ville. It's grown to a dozen. Nearly a turnover. Wilson, a one-armed shot.
You can see Boston versus Cancer just never looked comfortable on that possession. Some of this pressure really affecting their offense.
No one boxes out David Johnson.
Wonder, Boston versus Cancer, they need a timeout here, but it looks like Anthony Leonelli is going Phil Jackson and going to let him play through it.
That's another foul on Earl Clark, his second, guarding Usman Drame. About the only thing that's not going the Ville's way right now. An extended run has given the Louisville alumni team a 14-point cushion. They've scored 17 of the game's last 20 points.
Shots off the dribble like we did in the first 5 minutes of the game.
Right,
you know?
right.
And then
Now they're just getting at the rim.
Now they're just getting at the rim. The
Right.
rebounding was already an issue.
Right.
Who did this for who?
Ben's is in for Jaden, and I just put
think this timeout is about toughness.
Yeah.
I mean, we just gave up like 2 easy offensive
Yeah,
downs.
resistance.
We didn't hit anybody. Like, let's get tough.
Yeah. Hey, listen up. Hey, listen to me. Listen to me. All right. This rest of this quarter is about resistance and toughness. All right. Things got a little bit hard. They got a couple runouts. They got a couple dunks. That's gonna happen. We can't get sticky and get weird on offense just because we gave out a couple runouts. We got to make them guard to, make them close out. Early on, defensively, we were making them take difficult contested jump shots. All right. Now they're just getting what they want in transition. All right. We got to get back, make it work. All right. Offensively.
What's bonus? 5 or 7?
5.
5.
5.
Bonus, right?
Yes. So we can get downhill. All right. Good. Theo's got ooze here. And yeah, Ben's got mace. All right. Let's go. Attack with energy. All right. With energy and with toughness. Let's go.
Come on. We got to guard, brother.
Here's a look at TBT Past Champions brought to you by AARP. Join AARP and get instant access to member benefits. So you take out the Overseas Elite Dynasty and the Heartfire Championship, won by our colleague LaFonso Ellis, who coached that program and is doing so again in TBT this year. A lot of college alumni teams have won this tournament.
Well, and Overseas Elite certainly was the gold standard out of the TBT, but you're right. Whether it's Carmen's Crew or Boeheim's Army, the Golden Eagles, that's a Marquette all-star team. Certainly Notre Dame getting it done in the early years of TBT. There's been a lot of terrific groups that we've had come through here, and you have to think that from seeing Kentucky's team last night and seeing Louisville's right now, they could be the next in line.
5-second violation. Boston versus Cancer. Couldn't get the ball in fast enough.
There is no worse feeling for an inbounds passer than saying, man, I have nowhere to go coming out of a timeout, and you take that 5-second count, that's demoralizing.
David Sloan back on the floor for the Ville, along with David Johnson, who's got the ball now and finds Montrezl Harrell. Johnson is the Ville's leading scorer, but that was Bensley Joseph who helps force the steal. Joseph with it now.
Bensley Joseph giving up some real size, but he fought down there with David Johnson and made a heck of a play.
And a nice move off the bench for Theo Akwuba.
It really was. Just backing down Montrezl Harrell, a little shoulder shimmy and get to your left hand.
Former Ole Miss Rebel for a season, 2022-2023. Shane Behannon inside, and Akwuba with the rebound.
I like Shane Behannon going up against smaller guards. The Ville will keep going back to that.
Zachary misses the pull-up. Johnson keeps it away from Mike Rodriguez. And Johnson underhands to Behannon. Wild shot.
They're letting him play.
Bensley Joseph with a swish.
Take advantage. The missed shot at the rim, it leads to a run out. Bensley Joseph doing some very positive things here to end this second quarter.
Certainly no stranger to playing up against size in the Big East.
We saw it in the ACC as well.
This is Sloan. Finds his spot, misses the shot. Joseph with the rebound. Joseph, a step inside the free throw line, and the rebound tip to Sloan. What another pass to Jay Scruggs. And a jump ball is called.
Maybe a little too fancy there. Got him with the behind the back, tried to drop it off. Nobody home, and instead it's a tie-up. Got those numbers, you got to take advantage. We don't see too many fast breaks that lead to layups. Whether it's turnovers, we've seen a lot of missed threes. But in today's game, nobody wants to run for a layup. Everybody wants to run to that three-point line.
The Steph Curry effect is what you're telling me.
Thanks a lot, Steph.
No, I want him on the inbounder, obscure on the back. We're gonna get a deflection here. All right. Yeah.
Ville leads by 9. Less than 2 minutes to go until halftime. Boston versus Cancer looked like, the Ville was running away with this thing. They found a way to stay in shouting distance.
No, they've hung in there, and they're giving up a lot of size, and certainly you look at the pro experience, that they're not nearly as experienced as what the Ville is, but they've battled and they've fought back when the runs have gone against them, and I've been impressed with the way that they've played here.
Sloan looking for Johnson, guarded by Zachary. And Johnson dribbles it out of bounds. David Johnson, another Trinity High School product here in Louisville. There are a lot of not only Louisville college players, but Louisville high school players on the Ville roster. It's almost a city alumni team as well. Joseph blocked by Scrub. Saw that coming.
Boy, he just sized that up. Scrub, man. I like people maybe don't really know much about him or as much about him because he came from the junior college ranks, but you can see exactly why this is a guy that ended up getting drafted, has played in the NBA, has played in the G League, just taken a route to get there that you don't see much of.
And John A. Logan, that's in Illinois. This is Akuba.
Blocked by Harrell. Big dribble handoff. It's a great drive, but Montrezl Harrell just erases the mistake. Lack of switch, but you've got help side defense like this, it can erase a lot. Looked like Akuba had some bad intentions with that as well. He might have been trying to turn that thing over.
Joseph misses from the corner, out of bounds underneath. It belongs to the Ville.
For Boston versus Kansas, number 23, Drame, replacing number 30, Akuba.
Usman Drame checks back into the game for Akuba.
We haven't seen Peyton Siva in this game yet. He's kind of on the assistant coach player role right here.
Taken away by Wilson. Brito brings it back out. Now he's in trouble. Bohannon smothering him. It stays with Boston versus Cancer. Jen Hale was telling me that Peyton Siva more leaning into the assistant coach role.
That's what he is
yeah.
at the University of Louisville. So, and honestly, had a terrific career. Was fantastic for Alba Berlin for a long time overseas.
Scrub finds Sloan. Rebound up for grabs. Harrell's got it. And he's fouled.
There's those rebounds again. We talked about it all first half. They're going to have to keep the Ville off the offensive boards. It's easier said than done.
There's Peyton Siva going into his second year as an assistant coach under Pat Kelsey. Does he know he's on camera?
Yeah, he's on the Jumbotron.
Yeah, he's on the Jumbotron. He's certainly been on camera before.
But you love to see when guys are able to figure out how they're going to stay in the game. You know, obviously he's a fantastic player at Louisville. He has a great career, plays in the NBA, plays great overseas. But for so many guys, you know, what is the next step? And for the few fortunate ones, you work in TV or you get into coaching. Obviously you want to play as long as you can, but everybody wants to stay in this game, and Peyton Siva has done a great job of doing just that. And what could be better than going back to your alma mater and being an assistant coach at a place that you care about so much?
Really took Chucky Hepburn under his wing last season, helped Hepburn have a All-ACC honorable mention All-American campaign.
Boy, Chucky Hepburn, I saw him plenty at Wisconsin, and you did too. He guards that ball, and timely steals. I don't know if there's anybody better. He had a great year last year.
Harrell's got 9. Final minute of the first half. Joseph Heaves, he's got another 3.
They got the matchup. Montrezl Harrell gets switched on to him, and it's just one-on-one. Bensley Joseph creating some space and drilling it, stepping back.
Shot clock turned off. 7 seconds for Chris Jones. Down to 4. Into the corner for Bohannon. Sloan! It's put in, but not in time. And the Ville takes an 8-point lead into the locker room at halftime after a 4-point lead after the first quarter. So slowly adding to their lead here.
Well, they're going to try to physically overwhelm Boston versus Cancer. The glass has got to be a focus at halftime for BBC, but you have to hope for the Ville. They find some offense with their jump shots.
Let's go to Jen Hale. She's standing by with Louisville legend Luke Hancock.
Indeed, Chris. Thanks, Coach. A commanding lead here at the half. What's been the key to getting so much of what you wanted on the glass and in transition?
I think that's where our advantage is, especially in the paint. I think we've got to use that the entire game. And then getting out in transition has always been our best offense. So we play defense, we rebound, and then we run. Got to be in that order.
David Johnson and Montrezl Harrell account for more than half your points. How important have they been? How have they been getting what they wanted?
I mean, it's expected. Those guys are next level. I thought David Johnson was the best player in this tournament last year. He's shown it again. Uses his body well, uses screens well. And then there are a few like Montrezl Harrell. He just needs to stay focused. When he's out there, he gives us energy, gives us extra opportunities, and needs to keep finishing down low, making free throws.
Thanks, Coach. Best of luck next half.
Thank you.
Guys.
Thank you, Jen. Thank you, Coach Hancock. What an atmosphere inside Freedom Hall. Just about as good as it gets in TBT, and there are a lot of great venues to choose from in this tournament. The Ville leads by 8, looking to take one big step towards the $1 million TBT prize. Hi, folks. Welcome back to Halftime in Louisville. This is the start of a jam-packed TBT Saturday on the Fox family of networks. Take a look at what's to come. Some really recognizable programs and faces taking the court in TBT later today. Starting with the Indiana Alumni team Assembly Ball on FS1 in Indianapolis. You can also watch the Syracuse Alumni team Boeheim's Army take the floor in round one in Syracuse this evening on FS1, and on FS2 also in that Syracuse region, Stars of Stores, the UConn Alumni team, making their TBT opener in 2025. So some great stuff in store on the Fox family of networks. We've got a great second half in store for you as well from inside Freedom Hall. Boston versus Cancer and the Ville. More when we come back. Fans of all ages out to support the Louisville Alumni team in TBT 2025. 39-31 the lead over Boston versus Cancer. The Ville hoping this is the start of a long run in TBT this year that culminates in a $1 million prize. Great to be with you at the historic home of Louisville basketball, Freedom Hall. Robbie, Chris, Jen Hale as well. Looking at the box score from the first half, what's the difference?
Well, it's the rebounding and the size advantage that the Ville has. 11 offensive rebounds gives them a 12-2 second chance points advantage, and certainly that was the difference in the first half. And if Boston versus Kansas doesn't clean it up, it's going to be the difference in the game.
All right, let's take a look at the first half stats. First half stats are brought to you by Purple. Purple, less pain, better sleep. 7 turnovers apiece. The Ville with the much higher field goal percentage. But Boston versus Kansas shooting decent from 3-point range. They'll need more of those in order to claw their way back into this thing. Working our way towards the second half. And of course, you know what that means. The Elam ending not too far away. We'll be back in just a moment. You're watching the basketball tournament. TBT, the basketball tournament, is powered by Puma and AARP. Join AARP and get instant access to member benefits. Ready for the third quarter, Boston versus Kansas, the 8th seed in the Louisville Regional, trying to pull off what would be an historic upset, trying to take down the home crowd favorite, the Ville, the Louisville alumni team. Before we get rolling in the third quarter, let's check in one more time with Jen Hale.
Anthony Leonelli told his squad, unfortunately, they're not going to get any taller between now and the end of the game. So it has to be a more concerted effort to have 4 or 5 bodies crashing the glass at the same time in order to try to contend with that rebound differential. Also, they want to try to speed Louisville up. They think if they can push the pace a little more, maybe they can find some advantage.
No quick fixes, Jen. Can't just get taller over the course of a halftime, unfortunately.
That's a recruitment pro.
Yeah.
You need to recruit bigger players, but the big guy is certainly at a premium.
Sid Wilson will get us going here in the third quarter. Boston versus Cancer in the brown, the Ville in the white. Mason Madsen with 2 3-pointers in the first half for Boston versus Cancer on 7 tries. Here's Bensley Joseph. And the rebound tipped to Chris Jones.
Madsen got off to that hot start and was very quiet in that second quarter. Wire to wire for Jones. Chris Jones has brought it today. His effort's been great, and there off that miss, he took it the entire way and gets all the way to the rim. Nobody's stopping him.
Wilson with the miss from 3. Lucky to get his own rebound, and he puts it in +1. He can do it the old-fashioned way.
Follows his own rebound there, and opportunistic. Ville trying to take a charge. Wilson getting all the way downhill. Doesn't go the first time, but luckily bounces right back to him. And now you're late. You're in that restricted area. Really, Earl Clark kind of half in, half out on that charge. And an opportunity for 3 for Sid Wilson.
3 fouls for Earl Clark.
He's going to stay here too. Boston versus Cancer just kind of hanging around. They've been a scrappy bunch. They're going to have to rebound better, but they have played hard here in this game, and their effort has kept them around.
Usman Drame with it, guarded by Earl Clark. Madsen off a curl, and he is fouled.
This has not been a good sequence for the Ville. That's Earl Clark's 4th foul.
You get 6.
He's arguing that this is the Reggie Miller leg kick here. But no, he gets up into his landing area there. You got to let him land.
So Madsen at the free throw line for the first time today. Started his college career at Cincinnati, then transferred to Boston College for 2 seasons, hence the Boston versus Cancer connection. Was a 2,000-point scorer along with his twin brother, playing for their dad at Rochester Mayo High School in Minnesota.
I guess there's a lot of smart people on that team. A lot of doctors in that area.
Yeah, that is a city within a city, the Mayo Clinic. Madsen goes 3 for 3 at the free throw line.
You gotta respect his ability to shoot. Last 2 seasons, he's a 37% three-point shooter. High volume. He's coming off looking to pull. Chris Jones has that thing on string.
And he's going to the foul line.
Those guys that are low to the ground. Certainly Chris Jones, not the tallest guy you're going to see, listed at 6 foot, but the way he changes direction there, gets to the body. Certainly a foul there on Bensley Joseph, and maybe some words exchanged at the end, but what a take from Chris Jones.
Jones now 34 years old. He played in Canada last season along with New Zealand. You see his first year in TBT with the Jackson, Tennessee Underdogs. That's a long-time TBT program from the town of Jackson, Tennessee. He's got a reputation for really being scrappy, pulling off upsets. And Chris Jones kind of playing that way here today.
I have to think for him, with kind of the way that his Louisville career ended, was dismissed from the team. Just getting a second chance to come out here and play in front of the fans and play with your former teammates. We've seen that a lot in TBT. Just guys maybe getting to take advantage of a second opportunity.
Wilson, off-balance shot. Drame tries to save it. He finds Jaden Zachary.
There's that scrappy play again.
Drame lowers the shoulder, but Harrell rips the ball away. Harrell trying to fend off Mason Madsen. Harrell.
Oh my goodness. He was keeping Madsen out there like he was a little kid. Yeah, that looked like an adult going up against a 10-year-old.
That's his second team foul. And the line for the Ville.
Maybe not the prettiest transition opportunity you're ever going to see, but then that step through with the Euro, and Montrezl Harrell earned every bit of that one.
Sid Wilson, the foul, is second. Harrell into double figures. He was the inaugural Karl Malone Award winner for Power Forward of the Year in college basketball. First time that award was administered. 1 for 2 at the stripe. Bensley Joseph sprints down the floor.
Pretty good by the Ville there to get back there and contain that initial surge.
Joseph misses the runner. Harrell the rebound. Slazinski in the corner. Around and out. Jones with the rebound. Scrub puts one up, and he's fouled. That's number 3 on Wilson.
Chris Jones is the smallest guy on the floor for the Ville, and he just continues to make plays on the ball and earn extra possessions for this team. Flying in there, and now you've got this step-in 3. Plenty of contact there on the left hand for Scrub.
Is that some sort of cardinal sin in basketball when you let, a guard or the shortest guy on the floor get the rebound?
Well, you think about a lot of guards don't block out because they're thinking, well, my guy's not going. But Chris Jones has clearly shown in this game that he is going to the offensive glass.
Scrub buries a pair of free throws. And one more on the way for him. Scrub played for the Maine Celtics in the G League last season. And has transitioned very well into TBT this year. One of the big additions to the Ville roster going into 2025.
He's dealt with some injuries, whether that's his knee, tore his ACL, he had some foot injuries, so he's kind of working his way back into form this last year.
Wilson gets a friendly bounce. The Ville by 8. Chris Jones for 3.
Gotta make him use the ball screen there. Bensley Joseph, all your help is with your big, but you get turned down, and Chris Jones again creating space with that step back.
Wilson misses the reverse. Jones has been the master of puppets in this quarter. Harrell too strong, but a foul.
How about the push? That's just Chris Jones forcing the issue. He's putting on a clinic here in this third quarter. He's beating everybody down the floor. That may be a little fortunate that ends up in the hands of Montrezl Harrell. Certainly could have been a foul.
Usman Drame picks up the foul for Boston versus Cancer. That's his first.
Whitney Sidney in for Boston, replacing number 45, Madsen.
The Ville has advanced to the quarterfinal in each of its first 2 TBTs, but they've been bounced in the quarterfinal both in 2023 and 2024. Trying to go on a deeper run, and they have home court advantage throughout the tournament if they just keep on winning. Brito misses the 3.
That's a shame because that was really good half-court offense. Get a back cut, make an extra pass.
Slazinski is going to the foul line.
at the way the Ville, though, gets that thing up the floor. Missed shot. They're not dribbling this thing. They're passing it ahead, and they're looking to attack.
At the line for the Ville, will be number 31, Slozinski. He shoots 2.
Brito picks up his 3rd foul after missing the 3 on the other end.
These free throws getting away. There's some points being left on the board for the Ville.
Slozinski gets another one. Makes that one count.
Will be in the bonus for the remainder of the 3rd period.
Joseph slips by Sloan and hits the short-range jumper in the lane.
That's one way to beat pressure. They want to heat you up. You go right by them. Bensley Joseph getting into the ball. Look at the way he got over that ball screen.
Harrell, what footwork.
Wow.
Alley-oop Octavio Brito, but he collided with the backboard. Numbers for the Ville. Harrell inside. Right back to work and one. Letting everybody know.
Yeah, Montrezl Harrell knows how to get him going here. They just drop it off and let him lower the boom. Shoulders down, contacts made. Off that missed dunk from Brito on the other end. The Ville taking full advantage in transition of getting their own.
This is my city.
Did he say city? Maybe, maybe not.
The first time.
Unknown.
Largest lead of the game for the Ville. And the crowd realizes it.
Good call there by Luke Hancock to dial up some three-quarter court pressure. Just make Boston versus Cancer a little bit uncomfortable with their size and length. Why not?
Harrell for 3. Tried to bank it in.
I know Harrell shot 31% from 3 in Australia, but you have to think Boston versus Cancer wants him to be out there.
Jay Scrub. Everything's coming up red. Mike Rodriguez is going to the foul line for Boston versus Cancer.
Too slow. That's his third team foul.
It's just Jay Scrub creating some space with that step back, a little bit late on the switch as Boston versus Cancer. And all of a sudden, this Ville offense is in high gear. I think we need to talk about Michael Rodriguez more. You know, the fact that this guy is currently battling cancer and out here, it's hard enough to play pro basketball. I can't even fathom what this dude is going through. And to see him do it with a smile and to see him out here, it truly is inspiring.
You want to add on to this, Jen?
Absolutely. This guy is such a fantastic story, gentlemen. I don't think we can talk about it enough. You know, the ironic thing was when Anthony Leonelli called him to ask him to be a part of this TBT team, he didn't know he'd recently been diagnosed with cancer. The irony there, right? So talking to him, to Rodriguez, about his prognosis, stage 4, it sounds very grave. He told me, look, I've been an underdog my whole life, so this doesn't intimidate me. He's hoping that that 9th chemo treatment he just got last week could be the last one. He's going to find out in a few days what's next, if there would be radiation or surgery. He is really hoping to make a full recovery. If you look at that smile, you know if anyone can, it's him.
You see stories like this every year in TBT, but Rodriguez's one is certainly at the top of the list.
I don't care if they win, lose. He has 2 points, 40 points. This dude is a champion for being out here and for fighting the fight that he's fighting.
said basketball takes his mind off his health concerns, obviously. And had a good career in college at Southern Illinois for the Salukis. Led SIU his final season with the program, coming out of junior college, 13 points per game. Here's Jaden Zachary for three. Slazinski the rebound. It has become a 19-point lead for the Ville. Russ Smith trying to add to it.
That was a terrific pass from Slazinski. You take that defense all the way with you on that initial drive, and then you kind of leave your feet and maybe get lucky, but all the defense is with him. Russ Smith was wide open because of it.
5 to shoot for Scrub. Up it goes. A brick. Eamon Joyce with the rebound. Here's Brito, open for three. Harrell another rebound, working on a double-double this afternoon. Harrell! Unstoppable in the third quarter. The Ville ball, and guess who forced the turnover? It's become the Montrezl Harrell show in the third.
Well, they list him at center, but he's trying to play point guard out here. He's handling the basketball. He's tearing the rim off. Montrezl Harrell is having himself a ball game here at Freedom Hall.
Who's the other two?
Getting some timing on offense, all right? When we make them guard, they're not nearly as good. When we dribble it in and throw it across the floor, that's not as good. Right after the media, right after the media, right after the media, right after the media. Let's go. There's no 20-point play. It doesn't exist. We got to grind a little bit at a time. A little bit at a time. Let's go. Together. Yep. You guys talk. Let's go. There's no. Go. There's no 20-point play. It doesn't exist. We got to grind a little bit at a time. A little bit at a time. Let's go. Together. Yep. You guys talk. Talk amongst yourselves.
That's In the Huddle, powered by Puma. And I mean, look, here's the thing. As fast as these games move, there is still time for Boston versus Cancer to get back in this.
The problem is, the Ville looks like a team that's rotating fresh bodies and playing 10 guys, and certainly with the pedigree they have, they've got 10 high-level players, where Boston versus Cancer, it's, you know, the same guys are out there, and you're just running out of gas.
That is a great point. You've got Chris Dow, who had a great career on this court at Bellarmine. He's coming off your bench.
I mean, he plays in the top division in Italy.
Yeah.
He plays in a high level league. It's a D2 national champion, and Certainly a guy that's from the city of Louisville, plays at a high level overseas, but you're bringing a guy like that off your bench.
And he's got TBT experience as well, and that's worth something. Michael Rodriguez. Joyce drives inside and is fouled.
I like that possession for Boston versus Cancer. Not just one, but multiple paint touches off the bounce. You get Michael Rodriguez driving it in there, then you get Joyce just dribbling it right back in.
Joyce played in Germany last season. Averaged 9 points per game. He's a native of Massachusetts. Wrapped up his college career at Southern New Hampshire and was a 1,000-point scorer there.
Number 25, Wilson in for Boston.
Dow, Sloan, Bohannon, Slazinski, and Russ Smith on the floor for the Ville. Late third quarter, and Sloan drills the step back.
Bentley Joseph is pretty much right there with them. It's a tough step back.
Bad entry, Bohannon bats it out. Boston versus Cancer with Joseph, Madsen, Wilson, Drame, and Whitney Sidney.
Yeah.
Tell them, let's just get fucking horns.
Yeah.
Hi, Boston.
All right. I like it.
What are horns, Robbie?
One in the same. One in the same.
Did we see that there?
Yeah. Nice cut.
Slazinski couldn't quite stick it.
That's a heck of a rebound right there. That's like some Dennis Rodman stuff, of flying in, tipping it up, and going and making a play on it.
Three ball in and out for Sid Wilson. Sloan hooks a pass to Bohannon, and Russ Smith with the quick trigger. In and out. Bensley Joseph with a deep three, and he's got 13.
He's been one of the real bright spots here for Boston versus Cancer. Just get the matchup you want, kind of size you up. He's got kind of a low release, but even at his size, he's still able to get it off over the bigger Slazinski.
Russ Smith blocked by Wilson. Tyler Whitney Sidney on the run out, misses the layup. Madsen cleans up the trash.
It looked like one of those plays where Whitney Sidney was so concerned about getting to the defender that he didn't worry about making the layup. In hustle, though, Boston versus Cancer able to cash in.
I want to get back to what you were saying about Bensley Joseph. You know, beyond the team component of this tournament, it's a great opportunity for individuals to showcase themselves for future opportunities.
No question. Much like NBA Summer League, but you're getting a chance to put some really good film on tape, and that's what Bensley Joseph has done today. You're playing against guys that play professional basketball. What an opportunity to come out here as a rookie and try to make yourself some money.
Boston versus Cancer has ripped off 8 in a row, but the Ville still leads by 18. 5 seconds to go in the quarter. That's a turnover, nearly. Now it is. With 1 second, Madsen couldn't get a legitimate shot away. And we go to the fourth with the Ville on top of Boston versus Cancer, 71-53. Great crowd here inside Freedom Hall, and they know they can be back for more if the Louisville Alumni team keeps winning. And they're off to a good start in round 1. All right.
Cool.
Coming up next, it's win or go home at the UEFA Women's Euro quarterfinals. France, Germany, right here on Fox. How about some third quarter Harrell highlights? Robbie, you want to take this?
Yeah, a lot to like about what Montrezl Harrell brought to the table in the third quarter. 18 points, 8 rebounds, 5 of 9 from the field. He's knocked down 7 free throws. He's gotten out in transition, made an early 3. He's shown the bag. The footwork right here puts him in the spin cycle and goes to work, but also running the floor, playing with physicality. Montrezl Harrell set the tone in that third quarter and has really pushed out this Ville lead.
9 points in the third quarter alone for Montrezl Harrell, the native of North Carolina, playing in his adopted city of Louisville. He sits on the bench with the Ville up comfortably to start the fourth quarter. Behannon too strong off the square. Chris Dow saves it, finds Earl Clark in and out. Drame another rebound for Boston versus Cancer. Bensley Joseph is going to the foul line.
He's putting on a show himself. He's kind of been the lone surge of offense for Boston versus Cancer here in this second half. In transition, just flowing right in, and boy, if they got Earl Clark, that would be his 5th foul.
Right after coming back into the game.
And Luke Hancock was telling us before the game how excited Earl was, because he was one of the players that actually played in Freedom Hall. He just had a hard time staying on the floor out of foul trouble.
Well, barring a shocking collapse, he should get another chance. Second round coverage of TBT 2025 from Freedom Hall will take place tomorrow. He's getting some flack from his teammates and coaches as he goes to the bench.
Telling them he's over there hacking.
Well, Bensley Joseph has put up 18 points in his TBT debut.
Zone action here from Boston versus Cancer. 2-3. See if the Ville can get this thing to the middle of the zone and play from there, or just shoot over the top.
That's an air ball. Theo Akruba plucks it off the end line, and now Sid Wilson off the right side of the rim.
The zone certainly keeps the ball on the perimeter, and the Ville has struggled from 3, but you also got a rebound out of it. And that's going to be the problem.
Russ Smith for 3.
I know where he's at in the zone. Even though the Ville just 7 of 25 from 3 through almost 3.5 quarters here. You got to know Russ Smith can let that thing go.
Behannon partially blocked that shot. Russ Smith had a 20-point outing in the Ville's first ever TBT game 2 years ago.
Look at the way Well, Smith just relocating on the baseline. You overload the side. There's only one defender to guard 2 offensive players. Good movement off the ball and going right back to it. There you see he's just working that baseline area.
Up to 8 points now.
That's the thing about the Ville. It's the same with La Familia, the Kentucky alumni team. There's just so many guys that can burn you.
Yeah, I don't even know if I really appreciated the depth. Here's Bohannon with the catch and reverse until seeing them on the floor in this game.
Yeah. Obviously adding Jay Scrubb is a big addition, and a guy like David Sloan, a player that plays professionally down in Brazil. But you've got a great core. You know, Dow is a high-level Italian player. Russ Smith has done it everywhere. China, Italy, the NBA. Earl Clark, his pedigree speaks for itself. Same with Montrezl Harrell. David Johnson's a good player. Chris Jones has played well. They have a lot of people that can hurt you. Shane Bohannon. Honestly, I'm surprised we haven't seen Malik Williams. And yes, I know that the Ville's front court is stacked, but he had a really good season in the G League.
David Johnson picks up his second foul. With these alumni teams, especially in TBT, a lot of it is about the names, but you can't just be a name and expect to compete.
The thing is, the names, you know, the nostalgia takes over.
Yeah.
I think it was like this for me when I was playing for Purdue's team. You know, I might have been a good player 15 years ago, but I stink now. So if I go out there, you know, people remember you as when you were at your peak. They don't know what you are now, right? Like, and as we've gotten older, that's the sad reality of this.
And to be able to be relevant and competitive in this tournament, you have to be able to still play.
Yeah, no question. Because there are guys that are making high-level money in high-level leagues playing in this event.
Drame for 3. And it stays with Boston versus Kansas.
I'll give TBT credit. It ended my professional playing career. Because I was like, Mitch Creek just gave me 30. But Mitch Creek plays in the NBA and in Australia. Like it's just one of those deals where if I'm not playing basketball but a couple times a year, I shouldn't be out here playing. We kind of saw it last night. I mean, La Familia played against a team of guys that are just kind of playing for fun.
Harrell on an alley-oop from Sloan.
Montrezl Harrell has put on a show in this second half.
Russ Smith off the miss. Joseph misses the runner, and it's tapped back in by Akuba. Closing in on the Elam ending when we get to the under 4 timeout in the fourth quarter. We'll turn off the game clock and play to a target score to wrap this one up. Target score will be 8 points greater than the leading team score at the time of the start of the Elam ending. Sid Wilson with the flush.
This is starting to get a little raggedy here.
That is a blocking foul on Shane Bohannon of the Ville, his second.
A little bit sloppy here. Minute 20 to the Elam ending. Errant pass and Bensley Joseph. And you got Bohannon. He's clearly sliding over to his right there.
Two free throws for Bensley Joseph, who is from Arlington, Massachusetts.
We've
been talking about the level of play required to be competitive at this tournament, and Jen has got a little bit more on that.
Yeah, guys, certainly this Louisville squad is taking it extremely seriously. The memory of the Kentucky alum squad sending them home yesterday is still fresh in their mind. A lot of these guys still live in the area and have been practicing together for weeks. And then the entire team had a week-long training camp leading into TBT where, get this, 3 workouts a day. They started at 6:30 a.m. with a boxing class. They did shooting at noon, and then a full team up and down court practice in the evening. So certainly something that they have taken the conditioning extremely seriously, and their revenge factor and their desire to win the whole $1 million pot this year.
Boxing in the morning. What do you think of that, Rob?
No wonder we never won when I played this event. We weren't doing 3-a-days or boxing or any of that. But it is fun for the players to come back and from a team bonding perspective, just to be around the guys that you played with. Like that's what's the great thing about this event.
Bensley Joseph dribbles it out of bounds. It's the Ville ball.
What a play by Jay Scrubb. He easily could have given up on that, but got back, got a hand on it, and knocked it off the knee of Bensley Joseph.
Well, here's Malik Williams in the game for the first time, 27. Robbie was looking for him a little bit ago.
He really shot it from 3. For a center, the way he shot the basketball last year, one of only 2 centers that played over 30 games to have a 3-point field goal percentage the way that he did. I mean, he shot 39% from the NBA 3-point line.
After the jump ball, it is Boston versus Cancer possession. Brito catch and shoot. Brito's got 11.
Boston versus Cancer. This thing has gotten cut down to 14. Elam ending it. You start struggling offensively, it can make you uncomfortable. The great thing about the Elam is that you have to actually win this thing out. There's no just burning the clock.
David Johnson with an answer.
It's just an individual play, and one that the Ville certainly wants to see to pad onto that Elam.
Off the Joseph miss. The Ville could run this down to under 4 minutes and call a timeout if they'd like.
If Luke Hancock does just that. Chris Jones has other ideas.
He does. Essentially a turnover. And Bensley Joseph for Brito, who's got the hot hand right now. Brito with 14, the Division III All-American and Player of the Year this year. And with that, we reach the Elam ending with Boston versus Cancer on a 14-0 run. They're still down by double digits, but they've made this a little bit closer. Target score set at 91. We'll play to the Elam ending when we return. There is TBT action going on across the tournament landscape today. On the right, Shield 219 representing Valparaiso University from Robbie's hometown.
I knew they'd show out up 12-4. No surprise.
Taking on the Butler alumni team from inside Hinkle Fieldhouse in Indianapolis. The next game in the Indianapolis region can be seen on FS1. Fail Harder versus Assembly Ball, the Indiana alumni team. Boeheim's Army, the Syracuse alumni team, and Stars of Stores, the UConn alumni team, featured later today on the Fox family of networks as well. Before we start the Elam ending, free throws for Bensley Joseph of Boston versus Cancer. There was a technical foul assessed to Russ Smith of the Ville as we went to break. So an opportunity for Boston versus Cancer to just creep a little bit closer. 20 points now for Bensley Joseph. They still need 21 points to hit the target score and upset the Ville. Target score equals 8 points plus the leading team score, 8 points more than the leading team score. So the target score for this game is 91 because the Ville is the leading team currently with 83 points. Johnson with the underhand to Harrell, and he is hacked at the rack. And is going to the foul line.
What a pass. Yeah, David Johnson just dropped a dime. Montrezl Harrell went down hard. There's that touch pass, and they just got him across the forehead. Coming to block that shot. We saw a flagrant delivered for a blow to the head last night, but that was more of a windup here. Here it's kind of, they're certainly trying to block the shot, but you can always say with that contact to the head, you know, is it excessive? Is it unnecessary? It's kind of the criteria that TBT uses as well, same as the college game.
Well, one thing to point out as we get this sorted out, 5 team fouls for the Ville, so that means Boston versus Cancer is already in the bonus to start the Elam ending. That means 1 free throw plus the ball. So just another thing to keep your eye on here.
The crowd is chanting for Peyton Siva, but I think the most they're going to see of him, at least for today, is on the sideline. So they're going to make this a flagrant one for the contact to the head, ruling it excessive, and that's kind of been the how we've seen it across the TBT.
The last foul call on Zero Riddles went upgraded to a flagrant 1.
I don't think there was nothing malicious about that. They're going to contest Montrezl Harrell's his shot.
$20 points already for Montrezl Harrell today. Shooter's touch. Lots of fans for Montrez here inside Freedom Hall. He's been a showman today as well.
He really has.
Timeout the Ville.
The Ville takes a timeout here. Harrell gets them 1 point closer to that 91-point target score. 7 to go. The Ville will, if they win, of course, wait the winner of Sideline Cancer versus Bad Cats Let's listen into
Yes,
the huddles.
yes. One possession of that. All right. All right, if you don't like it, we got to stop.
Watch the elbow ISO.
Yeah.
Watch them picking the guy elbow ISO. Just fight through screens and talk. Make sure we're ready. They're probably trying to lob or something like that.
Yeah.
Get the crowd.
Yeah.
Physical, go get the ball.
And then we got to go in transition. We got to go. Yeah, get downhill. Get downhill. Get downhill.
Once the chant started, you have to get up and start doing more because
Chris Jones will get things going again for the Ville. Harrell. What a pass.
Boy, what a cut, too. Just kind of looped that thing home. And you're right, Chris. The delivery on that thing, that was big time.
Had to be perfect. And the Ville is 5 away from a round 1 win in TBT. Jaden Zachary coughs it up, gets it back. Nearly threw it away. Here's Sid Wilson. Bensley Joseph for 3. Rebound, Akwuba. Brito tries one. Harrell caught the rebound. Got to maintain your focus if you're the Ville and just get this thing to the finish line.
Let's look at all that space that David Johnson has here just to isolate and go right at Bensley Joseph. It's a good defense, though. Joseph hung in there.
Wilson a step back 3. Wilson a long rebound, and he's going to the foul line.
When you think about some of these shots, and 5 points away from the target score is the Ville, but you can just put a little bit of game pressure on and start getting some stops. It can tighten up the team that's in the lead because there is no clocking it. There is no running it out and just hoping and seeing when you get fouled. Much like tennis, you've got to win the final points.
Wilson's 0 for 3 at the foul line today. 0 for 4. Harrell picked up the foul, by the way, for the Ville. Wilson gets one to drop. He's got 10 points. Chris Jones back on the floor. The Ville has been at its best with him at the controls. Harrell on Akwuba. He's going back to the line.
That was so good by Montrezl Harrell. Double comes over, a little bit overzealous, and he just catches that thing and then uses his quickness to rip it baseline and get to the rim.
Harrell keeps adding to his point total, matching the number on his jersey now with 24.
Double-double, 12 rebounds as well.
A three-pointer wins it now for the Louisville Alumni team. Brito pulls up. Johnson the rebound. Does Ville go for the win here? Or do they go back to Harrell, who's been their workhorse in the second half?
Wow.
There's your answer. Chris Jones waves bye-bye to the crowd. An NBA-range 3 from Chris Jones moves the Ville into the second round of TBT. do you think of the Ville now, Robbie?
They have depth, they have talent, certainly plenty to work on in terms of a schematic or just getting cohesive again. But from a talent perspective, there's no reason the Ville can't win this whole thing.
A 20-point win to start their TBT 2025 journey. The winning bucket for Chris Jones will see the Ville again in TBT this year. For Jen Hale and Robbie Hummel, I'm Chris Foster. Thanks so much for joining us today. Switch on over to FS1 later this afternoon for more TBT coverage.
Blackford into the next round. Once the court is clear, remind fans next game is